What's up, team? So I want to get this out there before the market opens. We got some pretty big news out of Palantir overnight. I'm actually pretty excited to share this. And also, please, I want to explain my time working within AI at IBM and around Watson, why this kind of a deal is so important and how I've seen this happen before and the impact it can have. So let's not waste any time. And please, as always, this is not financial advice, simply reporting on news here. Make your own buying decisions. Always make sure you're speaking to qualified professionals. Here's the deal. So Satellogic announced a strategic partnership with Palantir Technologies. So let's dig into this a little bit. So this is a 5-year partnership that builds on what is already an existing technology collaboration between the companies. And the idea and goal of this partnership is it will further unlock advanced image and geospatial products, which offers tailored AI insights for customers, okay? So I'm going to read a little bit about the background here, and then I want to give you some thoughts on this and why this is a bigger deal than it seems. So Satellogic Inc., which trades on the NASDAQ under SATL, is typically known as a leader in sub-meter resolution satellite imagery collection. So think like real tight, real great satellite level imagery for doing mapping, visualizations, geospatial work, etc. And they obviously are combining some or sharing and collaborating with Palantir, right? As we all know, Palantir is an awesome company in the AI space. So under the current agreement that they have in place, Satellogic will leverage Palantir's Foundry platform, accelerating business process, rapid image product delivery, AI model training, and enterprise-wide data integration. Palantir's government and commercial customers will have access to Satellogic's Aleph platform APIs to power their use of Palantir's Meta Constellation and Edge AI capabilities. Sounds like that's a whole lot of words that maybe don't mean a whole lot of things to people. Let me break this down because this is more than you think it is. Number one, the power of a true AI or machine learning platform or analytics platform for that matter is the ability to allow for an open API network to pull in data from many, many different sources, okay? Think of it like an octopus that's reaching out to data lakes, data warehouses, distributed networks, ERP systems. In this case, looking at things like satellite imagery and data as well, geospatial data, etc. So the goal here is once you reach out and touch all of these platforms, they then can take it, pull it together into the Palantir platform, merge, munge, join, perform ETL functionality, extract, transform, load. What this really means is we want to take all this disparate data. It looks different. It feels different. It comes in different forms and formats. We want to take it and combine it. We want to smash it together and have it look the same, become unified, standardized. Then what we do is we apply things like the Satellogic data on top of it. So this means that not only are we combining the ability to have that real tight range, focused satellite imagery, we can connect it with data points. Now, I want to tell you a quick story about something from a few years back in my quite a while working at IBM in and around this space. So we were working on Watson for quite some time. I worked specifically in and around Watson Analytics. And what we were doing was getting pretty excited because we were working on a merger at the time to bring in essentially weather data, temperatures, historic rain, snow, etc. And what we were doing is we were taking weather data and overlaying it on top of standard business data. And this was great because if you think about this, you say like, well, who cares if it rained 2 years ago? What we were looking to understand is from a financial perspective, from an HR operations, how does weather impact numbers? The ERP systems, financials, transactions, how many people come through a front door of a coffee shop? How many people are parking in that parking lot? The impact on how weather changes the way people spend, what will drive them to the store in the rain versus what's more likely to get them to spend online with the right kind of marketing. That's the stuff you can't do on paper. That's the stuff you can't do without a powerful AI-based machine learning engine. Now, what's more, as Satellogic put it in this release, it's not enough to take. This is a really great. If you're not deep on machine learning, please, this is where you have to understand the power of the platform. Okay, machine learning is nothing without efficiency and efficacy. Okay, this means that you cannot build a model and then the model is now live forever, just as it is. A model needs to learn on a continuous basis. A model needs to have the ability to change, iterate, weigh things differently, look at data points in new ways, so it can find the strongest variable correlation. What that means is, of all of the possible variables in the data that we're looking at, right? what variables are the strongest tied to what we're trying to solve for. And this is where this is where you want to start to ask questions to the data. You know, is this a good place to build? Is this a good day to sell? How much is my profit going to be this year? How do I reduce churn? Which customers are likely to churn? Which customers are likely to churn 50% of their products, right? That's the power of leveraging data with machine learning and an intelligent algorithm that can learn and become more intelligent as it goes. The reason this is really cool with Satellogic is this is going to allow both those government and commercial customers the ability to now overlay geospatial map data. Now, let me tell you why this is a really big deal, because this can help commercial customers generate a lot of revenue. If you understand its scale, just say you run a sales team, you've got 200 salespeople, you're trying to sell widgets, right, that you manufacture. If I can understand its scale, where all these different pieces of the puzzle are, so I can efficiently target them, have a road show, go out and get those customers lined up, etc. The military piece is obviously way bigger. I'm not even going to get into that, but I just want to share that this is a pretty cool thing. So the beauty of this is the expectation behind this is that it's going to help to accelerate the capabilities from both companies, right? We know that this is going to be more data-driven decision-making for companies. This is yet another data source. And I think the reality is this is what happens when you start to think about the value of how a company like a Palantir can grow, okay? It's super important to understand this. They need to keep coming up with new use cases. They need to keep integrating with more varied sources of data. And the more that they can prove out that they can take this kind of third-party data, satellite-based imagery, et cetera, and munge it and merge it, aggregate it, and join it with that current data set around your traditional data sources, it just proves the power of what it can do and how it can expand beyond its current use cases. So that's it. Look, I'm trying to keep this video not super long. If you're looking to invest and get heavy in these AI machine learning companies, you need to understand like how these things actually work, why companies are buying them, and why this is important. I got a great question or a great comment yesterday or maybe early this morning even, asking if I thought Palantir was going to ever move to a B2C model. And it was a great question, and it was a great story with it as well. And I want to touch on this really quickly. The issue with a B2C model in terms of Palantir is that B2C models are very specific. Oftentimes it's like a point of solution, right? Like I just want to understand, is my staff likely to show up to, well, that's not even a good example either, I guess. I think about a B2C for consumers, and I think like solutions like Siri or Alexa or whatever, where I can ask an AI a question and get an answer. I think that's already largely solved for. I think the value in a B2C would be very hard, where you'd have to be constantly updating that model, and every disparate use case would have to be totally customized to the user, and that's going to require a massive amount of processing power that likely doesn't work for the average person or at scale for cost. So then they would then have to do the opposite. They would have to make it very generic modeling. Maybe it's a Russian model, but just tied to like a common use case. But how much value are you going to get from that if you don't have enough data? And I think that's the big missing point. So that was a little bit of an extra piece that I wanted to answer from a question earlier. With that, I'm going to wrap it up. I've actually got another story on Palantir later today. I'm just getting some further details on it. Looking forward to talking to everybody. If there's any other topics you want me to cover across this space, please let me know. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button if you don't mind. Thanks so much, everybody.